I'll take over from now. I'd like to, first of all, thank Ms. Jyotsna for this very illuminating talk. I prefer to sit here, if you don't mind, and chair the session from here. First of all, it's indeed an honor to be invited to FICCI again. I had declined it at first when I was told about it because I was asked to come and talk about a subject on which I had no knowledge of. But Secretary General Dr. Didar Singh is such a persuasive man that I found it very difficult to say no to him. And I thought that I would be able to at least chair this session, tourism, because all of us in our lives at one time or another have been tourists. We have traveled, and we have some idea of what a tourist wants and what tourism is about. So in doing so, I didn't realize that I was taking on such a huge responsibility, and I'm surrounded in the panel with such experts and with such deep knowledge of the industry that I'm really very humbled, and I feel out of place practically. And I'm wondering, what I should say. But all the same, I didn't want to make an ass of myself, so I thought that I'll read up something about tourism before coming here. And I find that this topic is really fascinating because from what I had learned, it is now going to be a $1 trillion industry. And for instance, the tourist arrivals, international tourist arrivals last year had already reached 1 billion for the first time in the history. And what does that mean then? And where does India stand in all this? Can India take advantage of this big growth? Can India, is India ready? Are you ready is what I would ask you. Are you ready, India, to participate in this $1 trillion industry? Have you got the facilities? Have you got the means? Are you doing enough? Are you aware of what's going on around you? Because sometimes when we are so engrossed in our own issues at home, we forget that there is developments are taking place all around us. I am quite familiar with the ASEAN region, this association of 10 Southeast Asian countries, a neighbor of India with a population of about 600 million. Now, according to the World Statistics, Yearbook on Statistics, in 1982, ASEAN had less than 2% of the world's total tourism receipts, worth at $20 billion in 1970. In 1975, the receipts from the tourists was less than 2% of the world's 44%. But in 1982, within about 12 years, ASEAN's share of total arrivals had gone up to nearly 23% of the world's total of $95 billion, surpassing all other regions. So, in the case of ASEAN then, the tourists' arrivals stood at about 84.6 billion, with tourism receipts at $91.7 billion. Malaysia is the top 10, among the top 10 countries with 25 million arrivals. What is India's arrival? Anybody knows? Seven.
Just about seven.
So Malaysia, country with a population of 25 million, got exactly the same things that you have, beaches and greenery and all the other attractions. But you have much more. You have culture, you have diversity, you got the grandeur, you got mountains, you got snow, and yet you're just about 1/3, 1/4 the receipts of Malaysia. Forget about ASEAN. So that itself, I think, should tell you of why exactly you have to do and how far you have to go as far as your tourist industry is concerned. The potential is there, yes, we all know. But how are you going to tap this potential? Have you looked at why is Southeast Asia so successful? Why is the Asia-Pacific region generally so successful? Can we learn some lessons from them? As I said, I'm not an expert in this, so I hope you won't shoot questions at me, but these are the people that I hope in their intervention, they will be able to throw some light on the matter. What do these 2 billion tourists, 20 billion tourists who travel around, what do they expect? And according to the UN Tourism World Organization, it says that holidays, recreational and leisure accounted for 52% of the arrivals. 15% was for business purposes, 27% for other purposes, such as visiting friends and relatives, and the remaining 7% was not specified. So, and what therefore this shows is that no country or region can really afford to ignore this incredible phenomena which is growing. And mind you, all this growth has taken place despite all the upheavals that are going around the world, despite the economic downturns we are witnessing everywhere. But people are still traveling, still go for their holidays. So it is an industry which nobody can afford to really ignore. Visitors, when they travel, as you know, usually spend money on accommodation, food, drink, local transport, entertainment, shopping, of course. So the implications of this for all industry in the supply lane, the supply chain, for production, employment, human capital development, all this will stand to gain, and they will all have repercussions. So I don't want to steal the thunder from any of these speakers, because I think they are the ones you should be listening to, not so much to me. I'm just supposed to chair the session and make sure that everything goes on smoothly. But I thought that I will really throw a little bit of a challenge here to get you to ask yourselves, are you ready, India, to take on this challenge now? So with that, let me then first call on our first speaker, Mr. Paras, to make his presentation. Each speaker will speak for about 15 minutes, and then we will have question and answers. I hope that's all right with you. Thank you.